Hi everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another random recommendation video. Now, I haven't made one of these in quite a while because there's been just so many other videos to do. My Outlander content has come to a close for regular season wise, which that was taking up a video a week, and I haven't done one of these in a while. But basically when I do 5 random reviews, it's literally what it sounds like. I just pick 5 books that I've read recently or that didn't get as much attention because maybe they weren't 6-star books, but they were still books that I really liked, and they tend to get overshadowed by other things. This time though, one of these books is a very recent one, but all the rest are books that I've read either 6 months or more ago and just wanted to re-bring some attention to them. And they do run the whole gamut, but I just thought that would be fun. And except for again, the first one I just read in April, so I'll talk about that. But yeah, the rest of them I all read 6 months or more ago and just wanted to pull focus. But before I do that, I do want to do a shout out to my channel members, the Romantic Renegades and above, because they actually picked this video to sponsor this month. If you don't know, I do have channel memberships starting as low as $1.99 a month. You can support my channel. I am officially a full-time booktuber and romance reviewer now, so any help is highly appreciated. I also now have a Patreon, which is different than channel memberships. I know, all the riches that I have to offer to everyone. But just wanted to let you know that if you would like to sponsor a video and have a say in certain videos that I film, as well as get early access, you can check those things out down below. But let's go ahead and dive in, because these are some of my favorite videos to make when I just get to spotlight something that maybe people haven't thought about before. So the first one I want to mention is Wake My Heart by Lydia Michaels. This is book 1 in the Jasper Falls series by Lydia Michaels, which is a spinoff from the McCullough Mountain, I think is what it was called. I never actually read that series, but I had read some previous books by Lydia Michaels that I enjoyed quite a bit. And when I saw this series, I had actually read the 3rd book in the series as an arc back around Christmas time, and it kind of has seasonal themes, but they're not holiday books. They just kind of go with the time of year that the author put them out. So the one I had read was Pining for You, and it was, it came out around Christmas time. But the cover doesn't even look Christmassy anymore. She quickly changed it. Anyway, getting sidetracked. I was able to actually listen to a free download of the audio for review, and that's what I did. I really, really enjoyed it, and I am continuing to read this series. There are still books coming out in this series right now. But this one was very emotional, and that would have made it harder to read if not for the very wonderful narration that really kept this flowing. And the story was just so beautiful and hopeful, even in its, kind of the misery of certain parts of this book. This is about a very young widow, not very, very young, but about my age, 28, 29. And she lost her husband 2 years ago on actually would have been on my birthday, which is crazy because her last day she had with him was St. Patrick's Day, and he died the next day. So that would be my birthday. That's very strange, even though it's a fictional birthday. Anyway, sidetracked, but that just became obvious to me. Anyway, and she has just, been living a pretty isolated existence right now. I mean, she goes to her job and she goes home, and she won't even be in a car because her husband died in a car accident. She will only ride her bike everywhere, no matter the season, and she's just a very lonely person, and she's slowly kind of been closed off from her family because her sister still tries to be involved with her, but her parents she feels that they are happy that she doesn't have a husband anymore because the way that they felt about the man that she had married, And yeah, so she just feels very isolated in that way. And then we have Ryan, who moves in next door to her, and him moving in next door, which is moving across town from his family, this family who has like basically is half of this town, and he just wants to be a friendly neighbor. And it's very much a grumpy sunshine situation, but more of like a depressed grumpy girl and a sunshine man. So kind of an interesting pairing there. And he just goes about trying to be a nice human, and every little overture of friendship that he makes, Maggie feels very threatened by his friendship, and it becomes this very like slow build between them. And pretty early on, Ryan really wants to date her, and she is just so like against that, does not want that to happen. She wants to stay, she wants to preserve those memories of her husband, and that can be a situation that is not fun to read. Like, I'm not saying it's fun being in her grief with her, but this hero is really something special. And in the way that he, literally the title, he slowly awakens her heart again, makes it very clear that he is not competition to her dead husband, that he is there to be her friend first and then more later as it grows. And I just thought this was so sweet, and it doesn't have the same like fiery passion levels that I'm usually drawn into, but the audiobook for this made it such a beautiful story to be a part of, and I really loved watching Ryan convince Maggie to give him a chance. And there's also something really special he does where when it comes to a point where these two are ready to be intimate, and obviously Ryan really wants to do that with her, and Maggie wants to do it with him, but is very hesitant to be replacing memories. That is a big theme in this book. She doesn't want to forget things, you know, and she just wants to get the first time over with Ryan. And Ryan, you know, has some very interesting things to say about that mindset and how things are going to be about them. And again, I don't want to like spoil this, but it was very moving and very beautiful to me, his reasoning and what he wanted for them as a couple. So yeah, that book was just, it was very good. It was very good, and I wanted to bring attention to it, especially if you like a bit of a slow burn, if you like a good audio experience, if you're okay with lower heat. I think this could be a really rewarding story for you to read. All right, now let's move along to something that is completely okay. Yes, so I have Escorted by Claire Kent, and this beautiful cover I actually got from a channel member, SD. She was giving away some books, and this has a different cover now these days, but I actually love this book, and this book came out quite a while ago. This book actually came out in 2012. I read it last year, and I like binged a ton of her books. This was actually a channel member recommendation, and it led me down a Claire Kent path that was pretty amazing. So this book is about an author named Lori, and she actually hires an escort to take her virginity and ends up becoming a regular client of Ander. She sees him like weekly or bi-weekly for a very long time, and it's very clear that she's falling for this man that she is paying for sex. And you know, this guy has a lot of like baggage and complication in his life, and it was a very unique story of like this woman and this sex worker that she falls in love with. And it was from like the way that this one was told, and the way that their romance unfolds was so unique for the tropes that it is sitting with. And I really liked this because there was so much, you know, literally like exploration that's happening for her. And by her, you know, paying a man to do this with her, she really, you know, of course she's still like very shy in the beginning of this, but she's able to ask for things and learn things that maybe she wouldn't have been brave enough to do with, you know, someone who wasn't a professional. And this book is third person point of view, but it's always from Lori's POV, so we never really know what Ander is thinking. And I've actually read both this, and there is a like follow-up novella where we do get Ander's POV in that one. But this book was it was a lot. And it has a lot of those like awkward things that can come up when there's a sex worker. You are wanting a relationship with a sex worker who, you know, he has other clients that he sees, and you are paying this person for the time. And so, you know, the level of attention and caring that you're giving you, are they feeling something for you, or is it because you're paying them? So I don't know, I really loved this. It was a very sweet story, and I loved how they came to be in love with each other. And yeah, it sent, like I said, it sent me down a whole track with this heroine, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Then I'm bringing up Sustained by Emma Chase. Now, this is one that I have talked about quite a few times, but it's been a while, and I just wanted to hold it up in a video because I actually got this copy for Christmas along with a little novella that goes with this one from my friend Jenn, and so I wanted it in a video, even though it's shiny and I need to hold it one way. So this is actually book 2 in a trilogy by Emma Chase, but I will tell you that I DNF'd the first one because it has scenarios in it that I don't like. And this book, I absolutely adored this book, and I don't think you need to have read the first book. It's one of those where like they're interconnected standalones, so it's up to you. If you want to read the first one, you totally can, but if you don't like the first one, please give this one a try because I love this one. This one is about Jake Becker, and he's a lawyer, a defense attorney in Washington, D.C., and one night he gets pickpocketed by this young man, and instead of taking him to the police, he demands that this young man take him home so he can talk to his parents. Because you see, Jake Becker, he was a bad kid when he was young. He had a single mom, and he made things tough for her, but there was someone who gave him a chance, so he wants to do that for this kid. Well, when he goes home with this kid, he discovers that this kid is one of 6 kids, 5, I can't remember how many, who is being taken care of by their young aunt, who is only like 22, 23 years old, and her older sister and brother-in-law died in a car accident, and she is the sole guardian of these 5 or 6, again, I can't remember how many children, and, or 6, oh, it says right on the back, look at there, her 6 orphaned nieces and nephews, and her name is Chelsea. And he ends up drawn into this family's orbit, and he's just this, you know, he's a rake. He's a playboy. He just wants to sleep around and have a good time, and he doesn't want to be entangled with this beautiful, attractive young woman who has 6 children to take care of. But, you know, he can't help it, because he feels for these kids, and he thinks this woman is beautiful and intelligent and has way too much on her plate. And so he makes himself available in a lawyer capacity, for an advisement capacity, but then quickly becomes drawn into more and more scenarios with them. And he has a lot of feelings for Chelsea, for sure. So there is something that Jake does that's very frustrating to me, but I feel like he makes up for it very well. One thing that can be said of him, though, is because of his bachelor ways and like him being very overwhelmed by how many children there are with this, he is a bit of a yo-yo man at certain points of this. Now, I listened to the audio of this. This is a book that is all from his POV. It has Sebastian York, I believe, does the narration, and it was amazing. Like, he's fantastic as this. And for me, the greatness of this book like outweighs that, but I think, take off like a half a star when I read it. I might have given it 5 because it made me cry a couple times, and it does remind me of The Takeover in a lot of ways. Like, honestly, minus the widow part, there's so many funny parts of this. It has like Cheaper by the Dozen vibes in there too sometimes, or half a dozen, right? And I just loved it. And Sidebarred is the novella that follows up Jake and Chelsea. It takes place after the 3rd book in the series, because there's another one after this, which I did like. I did like that. But you could read Sustained and Sidebarred and just read Jake and Chelsea's story, because the novella is also about Jake and Chelsea, and they made me so happy. So, highly recommend. Then, to change things up, I want to, redirect your attention to the Horde King series, The Horde Kings of Dakar by Zoe Draven. And I freaking loved this series. I binged it last year. All of the books, except the newest one so far, have audiobooks. I think there's 5 of them out right now, and books 1 through 4 all have audiobooks, and they're fantastic. And all of these are very, like, if you like the relationship between Khaleesi and Khal Drogo. I'm not saying they're exactly like that, but specifically this first one and another one in this series too really have that vibe. These are technically like alien romances. They take place on Dakar, and there are these horde kings that they're basically like bands of nomads, but they have like magical creatures that they ride, and they have tails and magic dicks. Like they have like a, it's not a knot on their dick. Hey, squirrel. The squirrel's looking at me over there. But they do have something kind of like the big blue men that we love, where it's a little extra bump for pleasure-wise. But this one starts off with our heroine. I think it should have her name in here. Kaivan, where's her name? I don't see it, because I hate when the back is in first person POV so that I can just know the names. But anyway, this woman, her brother does something that gets the attention of the Horde King, and so she trades herself for her brother's life, and he decides to take her as his war prize. And so she agrees to be his like woman basically, and she thinks she's just agreeing to be his concubine, but he actually wants her to be his wife and be his, like Khaleesi type character. I can't remember what it's called, but she actually has like a title that's kind of like Khaleesi type thing. So Lisi, is it Lisi? I think it might be that. But anyway, I really love this series. For me, I think the series just gets better. Like, I really enjoyed this and the introduction, but like Taken by the Horde King, I think, is the newest one, and that one was fantastic. This series is absolutely wonderful. There is a lot of culture differences in this series because it's the humans and the Dakar. There's a lot of fear that goes on. Humans have really been pushed to like the lowest part on the totem pole because they are weak and cannot compete against the Horde Kings. And they also have very interesting like hierarchies within their hordes that are very, culture shock for the humans that get involved in things. But I just love this series. The audiobooks are fantastic, and they're very easy to get sucked into and just like binge the whole series. So I just wanted to bring attention, and I also had like, I'm buying myself the whole series now. I have the first 2 so far, and I just wanted to draw attention to them because I love Zoe Draven, and as long as she writes Horde King books, I will keep reading them. And then the last book I want to mention, and this one is totally a throwback and one that I finally got myself off of my wish list because it's been on there. Literally, it's been on my wish list for over 2 years. And with my birthday money, I finally bought it for myself. So this book is called May the Best Man Win, and it's by J.R. Gray and Kate Hawthorne. And this is a gay enemies to lovers romance. So I'll just read you the back of this one. I hate Jasper Marshall. Hate is a visceral and terrible word, but it's the right one. This guy is everything I'm not. He's a jock, sports ball obsessed, testosterone fueled, jacked up. He's also sexy as hell with a submissive side I discovered by accident. Definitely an accident. If you call him on his knees in my kitchen, an accident. He pushes all my buttons, good and bad, and to top it off, he's my best friend Sam's brother. I'd become really good at avoiding Jasper since high school, and then Sam asked us both to be best men at his wedding. Now, not only do I have to work with him to plan a bachelor party in Vegas, we need to survive a destination wedding in Hawaii. It's hard enough to be civil so we don't ruin the wedding, but on top of that, I have to resist the urge to drag Jasper into every back room I can find and show him how much I hate him, all while trying to get not get into a fist fight. One of us isn't going to survive this, so may the best man win. So Lincoln is the name of one hero, and he's, I wouldn't call him like a bookish like nerd or anything, but he's definitely a more like slight average type guy, whereas like Jasper is, as he said, this very like big, strong, muscly sportsman. And they have this like, their first interaction together is like they're having this argument, and Lincoln just literally like orders him to his knees, and he does it and gives him this blowjob while he's ordering him to. So there's definitely this like power trip where like the slighter guy is bossing this bigger man around, and Jasper just loves it, but he hates it because there's so much hate between them. So lots of hate banging in this one. But I just ate this book up. Like, it was like toxic in the best way. It was also like funny at the same time. And it's one of those where like neither one of them wants to admit they have feelings for the other because they started out as hate, you know, hate fucking. And so that I remember being a little bit frustrating, but also this isn't a very long book, so it doesn't go on for very long. But who's going to be the first person to be like, this is more than just hate fucking you to me? Like, I actually am getting some feels, and I may want more out of this than I'm willing to admit to you. And I just like that when it happens. So yeah, so there you go. I hope I've maybe convinced you to try one of these books. If maybe when I talked about it before you weren't interested, maybe you'll give it a go now. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up for me. It really does help out my videos if you do, and this is my livelihood now, so I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and again, thank you to my channel members for sponsoring this video. I will see you all next time.